are not just focusing on Orlando's mass shooting. They're focusing on all gun violence, and the numbers are just absolutely stunning. I'm going to get to the numbers in just a minute, but first I want to bring in Eric Pratt. He's the Executive Director for Gun Owners of America. Welcome, Eric.
Hi, Carol. Good to be with you.
Nice to have you here. I just want to read you some statistics. Every year, more than 100,000 people are victims of gunshot wounds. And we should point out that that number does include suicides as well. According to the CDC in 2013, more than 33,000 people die from firearms every single year. Isn't that too many?
Well, what you failed to point out, Carol, is that the CDC also, pursuant to President Obama issuing a decree to have them study this issue, they found that anywhere from 500,000 to 3 million times a year, guns are being used in self-defense. So that means for every negative, tragic use of a firearm, you have guns being used 16
I just
to
want to point out facts. I don't know what study you're citing, but the CDC has been barred from doing any research on guns.
The very same statistics
Congress won't fund the
agency
CDC from funding any gun research on gun violence.
He commissioned an executive order in January of 2013 ordering the CDC. In fact, Slate wrote an article after the CDC published those statistics. And Slate is certainly no pro-gun magazine. And they pointed out, the article was entitled, "The Surprising Findings by the CDC." And certainly they were surprising to people on the left. The fact that 16 to 100 times more often, guns are being used to save life than to take life. Now, the president since then seems to have ignored that CDC study. How ironic. He wants more research, etc. But when the research was done, it actually found guns are saving more lives than are being taken by them. And as you look all around the country, Carol, actually you see time and time again that people have stopped mass shootings in their tracks. People, good people with their firearms, like a year ago this month, in a bar like the Orlando bar, in a Youngstown bar, a bar employee who was a concealed carrier used his gun to stop a mass shooter. No innocent lives were taken as a result. If that guy was in Orlando, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
I'm sure there are instances when people have prevented gun violence with a gun. I am positive of that, and I'm not arguing that fact. I just don't know how many because I haven't seen the study that you're talking about. But I hear you. But let me run this by you because most Americans are armed, and I'm going to put this starkly. Civilians own about 270 million guns. 1 in 3 Americans own a gun. Yet more than 30,000 people are still dying every year. How many more guns can there be out there?
You know what you're overlooking is that, as you pointed out, we do have more guns than we ever had. More than 170 million new guns have been bought since 1991, and yet you know what's happened to the murder rate during that time? It's dropped 50%. We're actually safer today with more guns. So, you're trying to scare people by saying, oh, look, there's more guns, but we're actually safer today. Just look at the FBI statistics.
You think we're safer today when 30,000 people are dying every year?
Well, as you pointed out, a lot of those are Japan. They actually have a higher murder strict gun control laws, so they use other means to commit suicide. Actually, our murder rate is not even in the top 100 of countries around the world. And the top 100 countries, guess what? They have much stricter gun control than we do. I mean, look at France. They have the gun laws, Carol, that you would dream of. It is impossible to carry a firearm in France, and yet that didn't stop the terrorists from committing a horrid tragedy.
You do not hear the number of mass shootings in France that you do in the United States. You don't.
Actually, more people.
No.
Carol, that's not even true. That's not even true. More people died last year in mass shootings in France than in all the prior years of President Obama's presidency. That's absolutely not true. People are far less safe in France when it comes to mass shootings than we are here in this country.
Well, I will check out your stats. I hear you, and I will look into them. I promise you. And Eric Pratt, thank you.